On September 4th, 2025, the fashion world lost one of its most iconic figures, Giorgio Armani. He died in Milan at the age of 91, the city where his career had unfolded for more than half a century. The announcement immediately echoed across the globe, sparking tributes from designers, celebrities, and politicians alike. Known universally as Re Giorgio, King Giorgio, he was not just a fashion designer, but a cultural force who reshaped the way elegance was defined. Armani built an empire on restraint and refinement, teaching generations that true luxury is not excess, but simplicity. His passing marked the end of an era, but his aesthetic remains part of the very language of modern style. Giorgio Armani was born on July 11, 1934, in the northern Italian town of Piacenza. He grew up in a modest household. His father worked as an accountant, while his mother cared for the family. His early years were overshadowed by World War II. Bombings, shortages, and fear shaped his childhood and left him with a deep appreciation for discipline, order, and quiet strength, qualities that would later become hallmarks of his fashion. Armani did not initially imagine a career in design. At first, he studied medicine at the University of Milan, spending 3 years preparing to be a surgeon. But he realized his heart was not in it. After leaving his studies, he took a job as a window dresser and sales assistant at the Milanese department store La Rinascente. There, he discovered fabrics, colors, and silhouettes, and gradually fell in love with the craft of clothing. In the early 1960s, Armani found work with the fashion house Nino Cerruti, where he began designing men's clothing. This experience became his true apprenticeship. He learned to cut jackets, to balance proportions, and to understand how clothing can shape identity. Even at that stage, he sought to soften the rigid structure of the classic men's suit. He envisioned jackets without heavy linings, silhouettes that felt relaxed rather than constricting, a quiet revolution in tailoring. By the late 1960s and early 1970s, Armani was freelancing for several brands, refining his style and building confidence. In 1975, with his close friend and business partner Sergio Galeotti, he founded the Armani Company. That year marked the beginning of a fashion empire and the dawn of what the world would soon call the Armani look. In 1975, Giorgio Armani and Sergio Galeotti officially launched their own label. With limited resources but unlimited conviction, they introduced a men's line that would transform the market. Armani's designs were instantly recognizable: fluid lines, neutral colors, and a quiet sophistication that contrasted sharply with the loud excess of the 1970s. A year later, he expanded into women's wear, offering jackets and trousers cut with the same effortless ease. His collection spoke to a new generation that wanted elegance without stiffness and independence without ostentation. From the very beginning, Armani insisted on controlling every detail of his work, from design to presentation, a discipline that would shape the empire to come. Before Armani, the business suit was an armor of rigid lines, heavy fabrics, and strict formality. Armani stripped it down and rebuilt it for the modern man. He removed shoulder pads, softened construction, and let fabrics drape naturally over the body. The result was a suit that conveyed authority without aggression. It was revolutionary. Executives, actors, and politicians alike adopted the look. By the 1980s, Armani's power suit defined corporate culture and global cinema. His clothes projected confidence, but also ease, a subtle blend that became the ultimate expression of masculine elegance. Armani had not just designed garments, he had rewritten the visual code of success. Armani's men's suits were a quiet revolution. His women's collections were a cultural shift. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, he gave women the same freedom he had offered men: tailored jackets, flowing trousers, and simple yet commanding silhouettes. The Armani woman could walk into a boardroom with the same authority as her male counterparts, without losing grace or femininity. This was not fashion as ornament. It was fashion as empowerment. His minimalist palette of beige, gray, and navy reinforced the message: elegance comes from confidence, not decoration. For many women, wearing Armani was more than style. It was a statement of independence at a time when gender roles were rapidly evolving. One of the defining moments of Armani's career came in 1980, when Richard Gere appeared in American Gigolo, dressed head to toe in Armani. The film turned both actor and designer into cultural icons. Armani's relaxed yet razor-sharp suits became a symbol of cinematic cool, and soon Hollywood stars lined up to wear his creations. From Diane Keaton to Jodie Foster, from Robert De Niro to George Clooney, Armani dressed the industry's elite both on-screen and on the red carpet. He forged a special bond with Hollywood, understanding its need for glamour while staying true to his philosophy of understatement. For decades, Armani's name was synonymous with Oscars night, where his gowns and tuxedos defined elegance for the global stage. From a modest atelier in Milan, Armani built one of the most powerful fashion empires in the world. By the 1980s, his brand had expanded into fragrances, accessories, and home furnishings. In the 1990s, Armani hotels and resorts carried his vision of elegance into hospitality. He even left a mark on sports, designing uniforms for the Italian Olympic team and later collaborating with soccer clubs. Despite the vast scale of his empire, Armani kept it fiercely independent, resisting outside investors and corporate takeovers. He remained the sole owner of his company, a rarity in modern luxury. By the 21st century, the Armani name stood not just for clothes, but for a complete lifestyle, a world defined by minimalism, discipline, and quiet confidence. Giorgio Armani leaves behind more than clothes. He leaves a vision of elegance that reshaped modern life. His empire, valued in the billions, remains independent, with foundations in place to carry on his work according to his principles. But his true legacy lives in the millions of people who wear his designs, from Hollywood stars to everyday professionals who discovered confidence in his understated suits. Armani taught the world that style is not about shouting, but about whispering with strength. His passing closes a chapter in fashion history, yet his influence endures in every jacket, every gown, every detail that bears his name. For Italy, for fashion, and for culture at large, Giorgio Armani remains eternal, the king who redefined elegance.